Good evening and welcome to Common Ground.
My name is Rosanna Gilmore.
And I'm Amy Gillen.
Many people make daily choices to optimise their health. So tonight, we're going to explore some of the undiscovered health and wellness initiatives that Northern Ireland has to offer.
Yes, we'll be finding out what's going on in your community, so stay tuned because here's what's coming up on tonight's show.
We'll put some pep in your step with a local run club aiming to go the distance in East Belfast.
And staying on the east side of town, we find out how climate action funding is helping to preserve a popular inner city green space.
The conservation volunteers tell us about the small steps we can take to protect the planet.
If we want to help anything to do with the climate emergency going on, we have to work at a more local level.
And volunteers in Coltra tell us why planting trees is not just good for the soil, but also good for the soul.
Now, running and cycling are popular solo activities to keep fit and feel good.
Run East is a newly established run club, taking the pain out of long distance training with coffees and bakes.
Whilst Critical Mass are celebrating alternative travel and advocating for a cycle-safe city.
Sophie Bleakley hit the streets to find out how these two groups are creating community through group exercise.
Running groups are experiencing a huge surge in popularity, especially those collaborating with cafes and small businesses. Before most of Belfast have had their morning coffee, the Run East gang are warmed up and ready to go.
8:15, I'm usually looking at the back of my eyelids, but I just thought I'll try and get my run in so I'll start the day.
In only its 5th week running, members of the club are taking to the streets to set personal bests, socialise and support local businesses.
Every week we drive down, slightly apprehensive because you don't know who's going to show up, and every week it's growing consistent, probably just shy of like 30 people.
The run has made its homecoming, the cafe is packed with customers, and our runners can finally reward themselves with a coffee and a freshly baked treat.
I think it's really nice on a Saturday morning that you go, you do your run however long it is, and you know that at the end you can have a chat, you can get something nice to bring home, you can have a coffee.
So, what are the benefits of group exercise?
Helps you in terms of like pacing yourself. It's nice to just chat to people.
For me, the time passes way quicker. I do not notice it at all, but with the crowd, like you just don't see the miles go in, and it's great.
As the sun sets across the city, another local coffee shop serves as a meeting point for protesters peddling their message for change.
Thank you everyone here, stay together, and most of all, have fun! I'm John Wright and I am Critical Mass. Genuine Greenpeace, time served, up in courts, eco warriors. So yeah, Critical Mass is like, it's my diet.
Taking off in San Francisco over 50 years ago, Critical Mass has sparked a chain reaction, combating anti-cycling attitudes around the world.
The bikes and the cars is not friends, I think. I was living in Madrid and I did the Critical Mass there.
But what does the movement mean to people in Belfast?
A big bit of crack bike ride round the track.
Community, plain and simple.
It's really about cycling joy, but also a bit of a protest and a reminder that we're here too and we want to take up space as well.
Activists like Meg Hoyt are campaigning for an improvement to Belfast cycling infrastructure, showing that Critical Mass is not just great crack, but also has social responsibility at its core.
Active travel is underserved in Belfast, north of Ireland in general, and we'd love to be a cycling city, so we need to see movement on infrastructure for all kinds of people. The pace of change is really slow.
I think that Belfast, if it had the infrastructure to be a cycling city like Amsterdam or Copenhagen, I think we'd be a much better city.
And just like our friends at Run East, the journey ends with a few tunes, a couple of beverages and plenty to chat about. Both community gatherings prove, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Sophie Bleakley, Common Ground.
I guess you could almost say it's a not so peaceful protest. I love that Critical Mass are bringing a party to our streets.
Absolutely. It seems like great fun all round. So thank you, Sophie, for bringing us along for the ride.
And the city streets aren't the only place bustling with bike riders.
Yes, with new national lottery funds now being granted to support climate action, a popular Belfast green space is set to receive a share of this.
The Eastside Greenways is a hub for dog walkers and cyclists alike, so let's see how this funding will help locals connect with nature and climate action.
From the heart of East Belfast to the steps of Stormont, a major new investment is set to reshape one of the city's most valued green spaces. A £1.3 million boost from the National Lottery Climate Action Fund will see the Eastside Greenway become a hub for climate action, rooted in the local community. With 16 kilometres of walking and cycling trails, the Greenway connects over 40,000 residents of East Belfast.
I would normally use the Greenway usually 2 to 3 times a week, and because of work I tend to use it in the evening times, and I just find particularly now, coming into spring, it's just amazing. It's like such a wonderful resource to have in the city.
For local people like Orla McKegney, the Greenway is already a lifeline, a place to escape, unwind and reconnect.
It's like you can just leave work and come in here and you feel like you're completely, you are surrounded by beauty and nature in a way that the cities can't offer. So it always feels a bit deceiving. When I'm in here and I go for a cycle, I can let go of my day. I can feel like I'm possibly in the country, and it's just such a good de-stressor and a good way to just go home feeling more refreshed and rejuvenated. And it's wonderful that it's accessible to all.
Chairperson Karen Purdy believes that this new project will engage local people living along the Greenway who feel overlooked when it comes to climate action.
I think the Greenway has already started to address issues of climate action, climate change, but I suppose what this fund is going to help us to do is to introduce that to a community who might not necessarily believe that climate action, climate change has anything to do with them, and how that the small things in a community will actually affect them.
According to the plan, this local engagement will be achieved through food growing initiatives, walking and cycling events, volunteering and citizen science projects, monitoring soil, habitats and water quality. But the main focus is to get people out on the Greenway and surrounded by nature.
It's really, really an important and fundamental part of well-being here and mental health. Thank goodness for the Greenway.
And so, with new funding and a 5-year vision, the Eastside Greenway is set to become even more than a shared space, a place where community, climate and everyday life come together. Maeve McNamee, Common Ground.
What a beautiful part of the city. It's great to see how environmental funding is being used in the community.
We are so lucky to have these green spaces, especially with an increase in climate action being one of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals for 2030.
To find out more about climate action initiatives, Kiva Keeley sat down with Conservation Volunteer Project Manager Aideen Nolan.
Aideen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, absolutely.
So what initially got you involved with conservation volunteers?
Well, I've always been very environmental in my mindset when I was younger, so I did a lot of volunteering myself actually growing up, so it seemed like a natural progression to want to pursue it for my career, and Conservation Volunteers was definitely the right organisation for me to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And have you noticed is there like a lot of different reasons why people start volunteering, and then what is it that keeps them coming back to conservation volunteer?
Yeah. I think a lot of people would originally begin volunteering for that sense of community. We do a lot of work with local community groups, and we also have our own volunteering groups as well called Green Gyms. And I think the opportunity to meet people that have a like-minded viewpoint on the world is very important to them as well. I think seeing the natural progression of a group or your local green space, your garden, start to develop a lot more and get more biodiversity and stuff definitely helps people come back as well. It definitely gives them a sense of pride in the work that they're doing, not only just by themselves but as a group all together, I think.
Yeah. And sustainability has been a global conversation for quite a while now, but why is it that it's needing to be addressed on a local level now?
I think as research has started to show a lot more, if we want to help anything to do with the climate emergency going on, we have to work at a more local level. It's great having more conversations about what we can do maybe on a more operations and legal, like legislation level, but real change really does begin in the local community groups, I think. It does help with improving education around climate and how things like climate inequalities can come as well. I think by improving our green spaces, it helps with even the small parts of helping in the total emergency of helping local biodiversity, and it also helps people with their mental health as well. So all these things do come together to help people have a more positive outlook, I think, on the climate, and from there then you can go into the bigger issue, I think, at hand. It definitely helps.
And climate action is just such a dreading topic to talk about sometimes.
Yeah, it really is.
But is there certain things you do to make it more just accessible or more easy on people mentally to do it, to be able to do it physically?
Yeah, so at our volunteering, all of our sites are completely different. And I do think that sometimes people hear about like conservation volunteering, and I know in my head when I first started, I was like, it's very heavy lifting, a lot of going to really remote places, and yes, that is a part of it, but most of our volunteering really does surround green spaces and maybe building up places like alleyways or rundown urban areas into making it an accessible green space. So we would focus a lot on doing things like skill learning, so a lot of woodworking, doing environmental sessions, maybe about some local birds people don't know about, things like pollinators and things like that. So it's really working on like the bare basics we would start at, and once we go from there then we can expand on to bigger projects after that. So there really is something for everyone. In our organisation as well, we're really flexible about how much people want to volunteer. People can come for 5 minutes or 5 hours. It's totally up to everybody what they want to do, and I think that's what helps people come back and creates that sense of community, because it seems very daunting if you're doing this heavy lifting all the time, and that's not really what it is.
Well, thank you so much, Judy, and that's all we have time for. If you're looking to get involved with the conservation volunteers, you can find out more on the TCV website.
Thank you, Kiva and Aideen. It was so inspiring to hear about your journey into conservation.
Yes, turning underused areas into urban green spaces sounds like a great way to do our bit for the planet.
And it's great to hear how our actions don't just do good, but can help us feel good as well. So this is such an interesting sustainability initiative.
And if you're curious to see what conservation looks like, we join the volunteers for a day at the Ulster Folk and Transport Museum in Coltra.
From maintaining the museum's gardens to bringing back shrubbery for the wildlife, they're proving that community action can have a big impact.
Volunteering out in the harsh Irish weather isn't for the faint-hearted. But here in Coltra, this group of volunteers are out in force working at the Ulster Folk Museum. Whether it's a hedge that needs cut or crops needing planted, the conservation volunteers meet weekly, spending a few hours improving the landscape while reconnecting with nature. Their work ranges from maintaining the museum's gardens to growing vegetables and creating habitats that support local wildlife.
Helping the bee population, helping the insect population and the bird population, which is all good because, as you can see, a lot of our forestation has been brought down significantly, and we're trying to bring that back up. Like bring back boglands, bring back like shrubbery and all. Like you'd be surprised how much we're doing.
For the resident horticulturist Tyrone, the work goes far beyond just gardening.
Well, it's nature, and it's the fact that you're with a group of people that are like-minded and they want to do good. When you're planting a load of trees, you're going to know in about 10-15 years those are going to be big oaks or something like that, and you can say to yourself, I done that. So it's good for the soul.
But according to the volunteers, it's not just the environment that benefits. The sense of community gained is just as important.
It's a lovely group with a very mixed group of abilities, but we all get on really well together. It's lovely to do the community work where you can improve the gardens for people coming around to visit. But it's also lovely to get to know all your other fellow volunteers and have really good fun with them and great friendships. Come join us, that would be the first thing. Everybody is really welcome.
Rain or shine, these volunteers prove that small actions in nature can make a big difference for wildlife, for communities, and for our own well-being. Maeve McNamee, Common Ground.
Great stuff. Thank you, conservation volunteers. We hope you had a nice hot cup of tea after all that hard work.
So well deserved. Still to come on Common Ground.
Common Ground's Leah Bell will be doing some goat yoga, and I kid you not, you won't want to miss that. Relax with us and soak in the sound waves as we guide you through a meditative sound bath experience. Later, we'll be discussing the new script for mental health campaign.
You know, what works for one person isn't what works for another person, and that's a message we're trying to get out.
And our reporter Fintan Evans will be giving bowls a try for the first time.
I keep going very hard. Okay.
Here at Common Ground, we've been discovering some of the unique ways in which we can support our mental health.
Social farming is a farm-based therapy, promoting social inclusion for those with support needs.
This hands-on approach to well-being includes everything from feeding livestock, growing vegetables, and even tractor driving.
Yes, indeed. Our reporter Leah Bell spent some time with those who benefit from social farming and even gave it a go herself.
Social farming is a mental health enterprise that uses agriculture to provide therapeutic assistance for people with mental and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Iabeen Walsh, Manager of Social Farming at Rural Support, described social farming to us as an innovative use of agriculture to promote therapy, rehabilitation, social inclusion and education in rural areas. We went to 2 different social farms across Northern Ireland to explore the impact it is having.
So we're here today at Laurel View Farm and Equestrian Centre, so we're here to explore the mental health benefits of social farming and equine therapy.
Laurel View is one of 19 social farms in Northern Ireland, providing disadvantaged groups the opportunity to engage in hands-on activities. The Department of Agriculture has provided grants of over £120,000 to 15 social farms this year. Showing me around Laurel View today is owner Robert Davis. Robert has been running the farm since 2007 with the help of staff, students and volunteers.
So we provide riding lessons. Also 3 riding for the disabled groups work out of here as well. We run learning with horses, which is for children who can't cope with mainstream school. We work with adults with learning disabilities, and you can see the physical contact. It just soothes and relaxes people. Working with animals in general really improves everybody's mental health, mine included.
Alongside Laurel View, we took a trip down to Newry to pay a visit to McGuinness Farm. There, we spoke to Iabeen, as well as Jackie, owner of the farm.
Social farming is a service delivered by farmers on working family farms that gives people with support needs the opportunity to get involved in farming in a supportive way. In Northern Ireland to date, we've really worked with 2 service user groups who become participants of social farming, and that is learning disability and people recovering from mental ill health.
Well, I think it's time to get stuck in and find out what social farming is really all about. I had a chat with Jackie, who runs the farm, as well as some of the participants.
What's your favourite part of it coming here?
Like using the power washer, petrol power washer and the petrol blower.
Yeah, nice. You like machines?
I like tractors.
Yeah.
Quads, you like quads?
Yeah, they're good fun, they go really fast.
Tractor too.
To introduce them to a whole different way of working.
Yeah.
And, different types of people, isn't that right? Because we're all very different.
There's like different ages.
And different ages, different personalities, and it helped them grow in confidence too.
Yeah.
Back at Laurel View, Robert shows me how to wring a lamb's tail, a practice which amputates parts of their tails, keeping them clean and free from infection. Now, time for a well-earned break with some furry friends, where I decide to try out some goat yoga, a relatively recent phenomenon that has become popular within mental health communities. Alongside the physical benefits, the experience is designed to promote mental well-being by boosting dopamine levels through the light-hearted and amusing engagement with the animals. Sure, it's all good crack until Robert pretends one of the goats has peed on my head. And I thought yoga was supposed to be relaxing.
Oh dear.
Had a great time today at Laurel View Equestrian Centre and Social Farm. We did lots of different activities, tried lots of new things. We put some rings on lambs' tails, we fed a pet lamb, walked a calf, and we even tried some goat yoga, which was fun, although I did not enjoy the prank that Robert pulled on me. So yeah, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Leah. Great to see you making some 4-legged friends.
I can tell you now, Amy, I don't think I would have taken that prank as well as she did.
Neither would I, Rosanna. Now, the new script for mental health campaign is advocating for less medicalised and more community-based mental health care.
Earlier today, Eleanor Humilevska sat down with campaign organiser Sarah Boyce and mental health activist Caroline Boyle to discuss what can be done to reduce social isolation.
So thank you for joining us here today. Now, one of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals is to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all. So we just wanted to know what you think should be done to support mental health within the local community.
Well, some of the things that we're involved in is bringing community together, and in different situations, so different things like whether it's writing groups, whether it's places where people can come to have their voices heard, and people who aren't ready to speak, then it's us going out and kind of meeting them where they're at and finding out what issues they have and what might be going on for them. We've also we've been actually physically writing a new script for mental health, so bringing what would have looked like the old script pads from the GP and bringing them out and people actually physically writing on it what they would like for their own personal new script for mental health. And for me, it was writing on it things like, you know, community, bringing people together, spaces where people could meet, places where people could garden together, where people could grow together, and just the whole sense of community and having access to counselling and to therapies and to physical therapies like the likes of, it could be yoga, it could be somatic stuff, anything around that.
We have at the moment is a very individualised, medicalised approach, and interestingly it's what the United Nations have called, you know, a focus on chemical imbalance. So what they're calling for is we need to focus less on chemical imbalance and more on power imbalance, because we know very often the things that cause and fuel and perpetuate struggles with mental health, it's nothing, you know, within the person's brain or the individual, it's what surrounds them in their environment. It's things like poverty, discrimination, childhood trauma.
And how would you recommend people to reach out if they are looking for help, particularly within your organisation, but are a bit scared to raise their voice? How would you suggest?
Yeah, well, I suppose important to say that we're not a service provider as such, so we don't take government funding to provide mental health services. We're a campaign, but what we've found, and it's different for everybody, like Caroline has said, you know, what works for one person isn't what works for another person, and that's a message we're trying to get out, because at the moment it's like one size fits all. But what works for a lot of people and why they're attracted to the campaign is coming together to try to make a difference. So using their really difficult experience and painful experiences, raising our voices together, and people have found that healing, the activism, that it's therapeutic in itself, and just reclaiming your power, but doing it with other people, because one of the big issues is isolation for people, and people feeling that they're carrying this pain and burden alone. So people come, so we are always inviting and encouraging people. We have our website, New Script for Mental Health, but if people are interested in that aspect of it, we'd really encourage anybody listening and watching to get in touch with us and get involved.
Thank you very much. That's all we have time for, but thank you for joining us today.
If you want to know more about this campaign, just search New Script for Mental Health for information on how to get involved.
Now, how about a meditative experience to make you feel more zen? Well, that's exactly what sound baths are all about.
From chimes to gongs, drums to singing bowls, can the sound waves from these instruments really help to calm the mind? Megan McKeown finds out more.
It starts with a single bowl, a gong, and the gentle ringing of chimes. Step inside the Sound Healing Spa, and you're greeted by waves of vibrating sound, all arranged to soothe and reset the mind. Guiding the experience is sound therapist Tessa Ann Greer, the founder of the Sound Healing Spa in Cumber.
What brought me to sound baths were my love of sound in general, and I always knew that I wanted to work with sound in a therapeutic sense, in a way that would support people.
A sound bath is a form of meditation. It gives participants a chance to pause and breathe. Many attend to reduce stress, improve sleep, or simply feel grounded, letting the vibrations carry away the pressures of the day.
Anyone who's familiar with a sound bath will think of it perhaps as a session where you come in and you lie down with your mat, your pillow and your blanket, and you lie down to relax. Whenever we become still, it gives us time either to step back, to still the mind, It can also create space for people who maybe don't have a voice to come forward and be part of a conversation and be heard.
Young people are increasingly seeking new ways to support their mental health. Tessa, a former music therapist, believes that sound baths can provide a powerful form of group therapy.
It made me feel really relaxed, like feel very calm, like I can feel my heartbeat just slow.
And it just felt like if you only focused on the sounds, that everything outside of the door just sort of went away.
Yeah, this idea of group therapy, it can be working in a very similar way, because they can still get all of those benefits, maybe more, because they're not necessarily talking about it all, they're just allowing themselves to experience. And in that experience there may be highlights or insights, and that's enough for that person just to move on from maybe what has been holding them back or keeping them stuck perhaps, whatever they say about their own experience in life.
As everyday life gets noisier, more people are turning to sound baths as a way to drown out that noise, leaving their troubles outside the door and allowing the bath to wash over them. Would you give it a try? Megan McKeown, Common Ground.
Well, I don't know about you, Rosanna, but I feel more relaxed already.
Do you know, Amy, I could nearly take a lie down if I wasn't so excited for our next guest.
The Belfast Aslans are an inclusive rugby team who celebrated their 10th anniversary in 2025.
Based in North Belfast, this team of trailblazers are Northern Ireland's only queer rugby team, and they're passionate about building a safe sporting community for all.
Joining us on the sofa is Aslans player Dee McCann. Welcome, Dee.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us on Common Ground. Now, we've talked a lot about community initiatives on the show, from Run East, the Run Club, to Critical Mass. And could you tell us a little bit about the importance of local sports clubs in the community?
Well, sports clubs at the moment are integral for just building communities of different, demographics for a start. Our team especially, doesn't discriminate based on your background, your community background, your gender, your ability, your age as well. We've got a team member there who's just turned 60 this year. I just turned 40, so we're doing good that way. But I mean, local sport's really important considering the inequality that we're experiencing, socially. So, I mean, they make up for a lot of meeting the needs for mental health, physical health, just tackling social isolation as it's covered in the programme, So,
Dee, you've touched on some of those social benefits of team sports, but specifically queer representation in team sports. Why does this matter, and why does that matter here in Northern Ireland?
Well, we need to tackle attitudes, don't we? We need to tackle attitudes towards what people have based, their stereotypes around, So, I mean, we've got stereotypes based on people's religious and political backgrounds, but there's stereotypes that exist for, sexuality and gender identity and even gender expression. So, they're very much part of the queer space, and, the inequality that we've experienced is still not there, do you know what I mean? So sport's been a great vehicle for just proving that we can do a lot of things very similar to everybody else. And for those that might have not accessed sport at a younger age, when their own identity was very critical to them and they weren't able to express it safely. So this is very much a safe sport and very much a safe team. And that's what we need at this moment in time, is more safety.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you think needs to be done in order to make sport more accessible for marginalised communities then?
The biggest barriers that I've ever experienced for people is just that they're feeling safe to access anything, so you have to be the first person that walks through the door, that makes that phone call, that interacts online, so on social media and stuff like that. Like, how do I take part? To know that it's in your community as well, so that visibility is very important. So that's where our social media is brilliant at letting people know that we exist and how to access. But some of the barriers that usually are transport and cost. So for anybody there that has dependents as well, it would be whether or not they've got cover to look after their you know, older members of their family, or if it's kids and stuff like that, you know, so they seem to be the biggest barriers for a lot of people, like, but you know, if you can get past that, yeah, we're all good.
Thank you. You've talked a wee bit there and touched upon how important visibility is. This is now rugby off season,
yes.
So in these summer months, how will the Aslans remain visible and accessible in this time?
Well, we're coming on the Pride Month.
That's right.
So we will do our best to be at every march that will have us. We'll definitely be on Belfast Pride. We were in Foyle Pride last year. I think we're going to Causeway Pride as well, and just anybody that invites us, we'll be there, you know, so we'll be there in person so people get to meet us, like, you know, so that takes away the fear, you know, having somebody that you can talk to, and at least in the first day of training, they're like, I could talk to them.
A familiar face.
A familiar face, you know.
And
so
a busy schedule ahead.
Do our best.
We'll be from one inclusive sporting community in Belfast to another. Belfast has been named a 2026 European City of Sport. This award aims to promote healthy lifestyles and highlight underrepresented sports from women's football to fencing and even pickleball.
Another sport gaining recognition is bowls, an activity open to all, regardless of age or ability.
Fintan Evans visited the Belfast Indoor Bowls Club to find out what exactly it takes to become a pro bowler.
Belfast has just been named a European City of Sport, highlighting the city's investment in sporting communities, from grassroots level to elite performance. This title platforms under-recognised sports like indoor bowls.
It's critical, not just for the club but bowls in general.
Colin Campbell chairs the Belfast Indoor Bowls Club Committee, working to champion the status of this often overlooked sport.
It's great that Belfast has been recognised European City of Sport for 2026, and bowls is going to play its part in that.
Bowls is a sport which is inclusive of all, regardless of age, gender or ability. And on a Tuesday afternoon, the club is a live activity, from first-time players to seasoned pro bowlers.
It's men, ladies. We have a disabled section as well now, which was started fairly recently. We now have an Ireland para bowls team for the last couple of years now.
While stereotypically associated with older people, Colin believes bowls has a multi-generational appeal.
Yeah, well, we'd like to say it's, 9 to 90, maybe even younger and older in some cases.
Amy Jane was introduced to bowls by her uncle, who's been bowling for over 10 years.
So this is my second time playing, but it's been really good fun to give it a go.
Having recently returned home after living abroad, the bowls community has helped her readjust to life back home. Beyond improved flexibility and overall fitness, what else can people gain from playing bowls?
I think just a sense of connection for a start, meeting new people, feeling part of something, and I find it really therapeutic, which I've really enjoyed.
The club's participation in the British Isles Indoor Bowls Championship was a featured event on the European City of Sport calendar.
In March 9th to 13th, we are hosting the British Isles Indoor Bowling Championships. It comes around to Belfast Indoor Bowling Club every 4 years. Next year will be our diamond anniversary, so we're very much looking forward to that.
The City of Sport profiles many events throughout the year, and with this international recognition, Colin hopes that newcomers will be encouraged to try out the sport.
Go out and enjoy it. Come on, try bowls.
And I did just that.
It doesn't feel like it's going to drop out of your hand. Okay, so how do you grip the ball?
Who knows? This could be the start of a successful bowling career.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me.
Maybe I need a little more practice.
I don't know if our insurance covers that.
Well, that's all from me at Belfast Indoor Bowls Club. Back to the studio. Fintan Evans, Common Ground.
Unbelievable scenes there, Dee. I'm sure you'll agree. I know you have a pretty busy schedule between boxing and rugby, but is bowls something you would ever try?
I think you can strike me out of that one.
Love.
Well, you mentioned a little bit about social media earlier, so where can our viewers find Aslan on social media if they want to get involved or get more connected within the community?
So we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook. So
what's the handle for that?
Belfast Aslans.
Fantastic. Dee, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today on Common Ground. That is all we have time for on today's show.
From all of us here in the studio and our incredible production team behind the scenes, thanks for watching and we hope to see you again soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.